And we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this first Trading Cult webinar in English. My name is Nordine Mejd, and I will be your host today to talk about a very important subject that it's not well treated on the social medias because you will find a lot of videos of the different strategies, EAs, the best prop firm, but not enough on the following subject, which is having the right psychology and discipline to become a successful trader. So the subject of the day is the four psychological errors that traders make. Let's get started. As an introduction, why psychology is very important? Because psychology work in a passive way. What do I mean by that? Having and mastering your discipline and having the right psychology obviously doesn't guarantee you to become a successful trader because there are other factors that they will affect your trading. Obviously, your money management, your risk management, the strategy that you have, your entry, your exit points, the indicators that you use. There are a lot of different factors that they can affect. But there is one guarantee is that even with the good strategy, the wrong psychology and the wrong discipline will surely lead you to the failure. And that's why it's a very important um, topic to speak about because there are a lot of traders that they spend a lot of time, and I speak to a lot of them spending so much time on mastering their trading strategy, but not enough on their psychology, and they keep making the same mistakes. And they are trying to blame. I've done it myself when I started. For years, I was blaming the strategy, I was blaming that EA, I was blaming that broker, instead of trying to understand as well if I could be at fault here. So here are the most important and frequent mistakes that traders make. So you have different types of fear, you have greed, you have lack of discipline that they will lead your strategy to failure. So now I'm going to ask you a simple question. Who here doesn't know how a stop loss works? Who here doesn't know how to open and close a position, set a take profit? I believe that you all know how it works. Now, the question is not if you know, you see, because the knowledge you will have it, but how many of you always trade according to a plan and make sure that they respect the stop loss or the money management that they put before opening the position? How many of you have been dragging that stop loss when it's about to get close and touched? How many of you have been putting a take profit but close that take profit way earlier because you didn't have a good feeling of the markets? This is what we're going to talk about. It's the effect, the emotional effect that fear and other emotions will create on you that will lead you to not follow your plan. Okay, so let's continue here. So the first one is the fear of losing. The fear of losing, usually it will lead to two big mistakes in terms of money management in general. The first one is closing the profit too early. Why? It's led to the fear of losing. Your position have been at minus 20, plus 20, plus 30. Oh my God, I was stressed when it was in the negative. Now I'm going to close the position. You close your position too early. So you close your position at a certain amount, but when they are in profit, but you will leave the stop loss at 10 times the amount. So obviously your risk reward ratio is not good. And the second one, as I just mentioned, is leaving the losses open, leaving the losses open too long. I always use this sentence, and I'm going to talk to you about one of those important tips that you can use to master your psychology and to help you deal with it is be patient in profits, be less patient in losses. Be patient in profit and be impatient in losses. So what do I mean by that? You will find, and there are a lot of tools that they help you analyze your trades, and you will find usually that the positions in profits are closed way earlier. The average duration might be, let's say, 1 to 2 hours. Let's say as an average there will be 1 hour. You will see the average losses will be 10 hours or 2 days. Why? Because when you're stuck in loss, you will tend to leave it and pray basically that the market will go back into your favor. And usually, when it happens, it might work once in your favor, twice, but then one day it won't miss you, and it will lead to the destruction of your trading accounts. On the other hand, many times you will set the take profits and you will come back later and you will say, you see, I just closed it at 10 pips. My take profit was at 50 pips. And finally, it did go to that price. It reached that level. So this is led because of one thing only, the fear, one strong fear of losing. All right, let's continue to our presentation here. So now you have to understand the fear of loss, because it's a natural syndrome that has physical effects that you can master, that you can control. But first of all, you need to understand them. And I'm going to give you 4 tips that very simply will help you to take control of that fear when it arrives. And those tips, I'm going to tell you, those psychological tips to control the fear are also used by athletes, are also used by anybody that is, for example, on stage, speaking to public, or anybody that is in any type of fields that might be stressful. So you have, first of all, the breathing. It's extremely important to control your breathing, because there are 2 types of effect from the stress. Number one, lack of breathing. You will stop breathing when you're stressed. You will be looking at the market and you're going to be like, you don't realize that you haven't even took a breath. You haven't taken a breath for like 30 seconds. And on the other side is the hyperventilation. When you start to have some anxiety and you don't realize and the position is going to the loss, and you're like, you don't realize you're hyperventilating. So both types are wrong. One of them will have lack of oxygen, the other one too much of oxygen. Both of them are going to make you dizzy. They might make you sweat. They might make you feel weird. And you wonder why I have this anxiety, why I have this fear. It's actually physical. Just by making sure that you control your breathing, inhaling from the nose, exhaling from the mouth, making sure that you just count 10 breathing, 10 breath like that. Whenever you feel that stress coming out, you will be shocked by how good you will feel after this exercise. Second, not during preparing your trading, little bit of meditation, little bit of relaxation, little bit of visualization. It's really important to visualize your plan. You have to write it down. You have to plan your trades, and then you have to trade according to the plan. But one thing that is good is to make sure that you visualize this plan before, so you don't get stressed about not following it. Example, little bit of in the beginning, before the trade, while you're having your breakfast, for example, you don't have to be sitting in front of a cliff, looking at the sky. You can just be sitting, having your breakfast, and just visualizing that trade and thinking to yourself, today I'm going to be strong, I'm going to be relaxed no matter what. I will accept the consequences, either positive or negative. I will stay stoic. And it leads me to the third tip, which is the self-talk. You even see some videos about very famous athletes, such as Cristiano Ronaldo, for example, before shooting a penalty or something, you will see him talking. A lot of athletes are speaking, tennis players. Why the self-talk is really important? Because it reinforces your thoughts. Sometimes our thought can get lost and we are struggling to keep them together. It's much easier to control them when you are actually speaking. So I'm thinking about my loss. What should I do? Oh my God, I need to pay my rent, and my girlfriend is going to kick me out. And no, I'm going to recover it, and I'm going to make money, and I will buy a Lambo. Instead of controlling it and saying, you got this. No matter what, trust your plan. Trust your plan. If it touched the stop loss, so be it. I will know that it was a bad trade. Relax. Stay cool. I'm just speaking to myself. Last but not least, written. The talking can affect your emotion positively by reinforcing that self-positive talk, but writing it even more. Why? Writing your plan is much more important than having the plan in your mind. You look at it visually, you speak it with the self-talk as well, and you make sure that it's in front of you, so you never lose track of that plan. So to sum up, you have the breathing, meditation, self-talk, and writing as much as possible your plan, writing in the journal, writing those emotions down, writing down those positive days, writing down those negative days. Now, the solutions to overcome the fear, I will say that one of the most important way, faster, stronger way to do is to start small. I gave you a lot of different tips. You can start with the breathing. Just don't do them all at the same time. Uh, if you see that you're over trading, you're not comfortable with the amount, reduce the amount. Don't be afraid to go back to the demo. Start small. Make sure that you start small. And you will see that very quick your confidence will grow if it's not being destroyed, if it's not being damaged. And this is one of the issues that many traders feel, is that this fear comes very quickly just because you're not prepared enough. Just saw a video, you got excited, you want to test that strategy, and after 3 days you're trading live with an amount that you cannot afford to lose. Well, this is one of the advantage actually of the prop trading compared to the normal trading with own funds, is that this is actually at least controlled. This is one of the biggest advantage. When I started, even as a student, I would put 2,000-3,000 euros, for example, and I would regret it because it took me a lot of time to recover while working as a waiter, to recover what I've lost in 3 days, for example. So of course, it was not just a matter of psychology; it was a matter also of really bad financial management. I didn't manage my finances well. I could afford to invest $500. I put 2,000, and from the moment I opened my positions, I was shaking. Well, with the prop trading now, with that $500, I could have bought challenge, for example, of $100,000 and still access that big fund without hitting my pocket. So you got to start small. Now, let's talk about greeds and excessive leverage. So this is something that is actually linked. The greeds in terms of trying to achieve too much too fast, like really with the growth of the social medias and all those Instagram and TikTok accounts and those profiles living in Dubai, flashing that luxury lifestyle, it's affecting especially the youngsters. I speak to so many traders. They will spend a lot of time talking about what they want to do with the money. And this is very similar to the motivation of a gambler. The gambler will not focus on the game itself. He will focus on the dream. While the trader, you shouldn't be a gambler. You should focus on your performance. You should focus on your strategy. You can have 90% focus on strategy and 10% dream. It's good to be motivated. It's good to have this plan. It's good to have this vision board. There is nothing wrong with that. But the issue is that if it becomes the opposite and 90% of your time is dedicated to dreaming and spending time looking at those influencers driving those Lambos, then obviously you're going to try to find the fastest way to reach what they are showing you, even if it's fake, which is really over leveraging yourself, using too much margin, opening too much volume while you are not prepared enough. And this will lead to catastrophic results. So what is the impact of greeds on the trading decisions? There are different impacts. One of the most known, and this one is being repeated out there and is 100% right, is all the fear of missing out. Fear of missing out is coming from all the noise that is out there. Everybody's speaking about NFP, making money during the news, out of the news, and whatnot. So once you see those news, you're like, oh, I'm missing out. Actually, I should have opened a position. Even if your system is not actually showing you certain signals, you will force yourself because there is a lot of noise talking about certain events. Not only in Forex, for example, this happens a lot in two types of instruments. It will happen a lot in gold. You have a lot of news talking about gold. Gold is on all-time high. Same thing on Bitcoin. Bitcoin reached 100K to the moon, and everybody is making money. So this is what can create the fear of missing out. Be very careful on having the right psychology, is understanding that this is just news. Don't fall for it. Don't jump the wagon before understanding what is the effect that it can have on your trading. If you want to buy because everybody's talking about buying, that's your choice. If you want to sell because everybody's talking about buying and be a contrarian, this is your choice as well. This is not the point. The point is making sure that you respect your money management no matter what. Because you can buy and everybody can be right and you can be right. You can sell and be on the opposite and still be right. But if you open and went all in, then just a little pullback will close you, even if you were right. This is the issue. And this is the second point, opening really too big volume. And the third one, finally, so first of all, you get that emotion from that FOMO, then you open too big volume, then you start to have a loss, and very quickly you get into that vengeance mode, which is really the worst that can happen, is trying to just be on the mindset of recovering losses. The strategies for avoiding excessive leverage. I'm going to tell you there is only one strategy. I'm not going to just beat around the bush. Just start small. I don't repeat it enough. Just start small. Trade as much as you want on the demo account. Start with a risk-free environment. Then once you start, you want to have this feeling. I'm going to give you an example that a very wise man told me once. I used to talk about big amounts and how much I want to make, and those thousands and tens of thousands. And there is this guy who made 100,000, and he was like, what's your salary? What are the types of salary that you're getting? So I'm asking you this question. You are working for $20 an hour, for €50 an hour, for 15 pound an hour. It doesn't matter. You're accepting to work for an average of, let's say, 20, but you will try to make 1,000 in an hour instead of being blessed by trying to make that extra complement of income. That will be that extra $20, that $50, that will take you 1 hour. For example, this $100 will take you 1 day, or $300 will take you 1 full day of work. And you're lucky enough to have a strategy that allows you to make it in 20 minutes, and straight away after you're going to try to make it more. Well, obviously, if the platform was an infinite money machine, somebody would have found it. There are certain periods that are more interested than others. You have to try to find them. And one thing that I always like to say is a good trader knows when to trade, but a better trader knows when not to trade. And this is extremely important. In order to avoid excessive leverage, you need to avoid excessive trading. If you trade every single day, you're going to overtrade and you're going to have losses. And to recover those losses, you're going to have to open bigger volume. You know what is the risk reward? When you lose 50%, you need 100% to recover this amount. But if you lose 70%, you need like 300% to recover just back to your break-even points. So you have to be careful on that. Take it slow and making sure that you respect a strategy with a risk reward good enough so you don't have to be too aggressive to recover your losses as soon as you touch 1-2 bad trades. Let's talk about the revenge on the markets. From my humble experience, this is the number one cause of losses in traders. This is extremely important, this point. Usually traders will not fail because they hit a couple of bad trades. Most of the strategy will manage to recover. Believe it or not, they will fail because they will stick to that bad trade and reinforce it, turn it into a martingale, turn it into a greed. That position is gone, that signal is gone, but you're sticking into it because your ego doesn't want to accept that you failed this time. And this is one of the number one advice that I can give you. You will start to become successful from the moment that you will accept that you can be wrong. There's many traders that they are trying to hit that 100% success ratio, and it simply doesn't work. All right, so let's talk about the risk of revenge on the market. The psychological effect of that revenge is that you forget everything and you only start to look at recovering that loss. This becomes an obsession. But accepting that you were wrong, it's the first step towards success. Acknowledgement is the first step towards success. An additional point, one of the biggest mistakes is the lack of discipline. There are different things that they can affect your discipline: not following your plan, trying to follow your intuition or your feeling, following someone that you don't even know, you just saw on internet because he was flashing some money, or a friend told you that he was good. And the last one is not knowing when to stop, either when you reach your maximum drawdown that you allowed yourself to reach, or even your profits, your objective in terms of profits. The greed is kicking in and you just want more. So this lack of discipline, due to one of these different factors, will lead to your loss. Now, why discipline is extremely important, not only, to be honest, in business in general, but we are speaking here in trading. So the discipline is very important because this is the difference between being good and being successful. Being good is having a good trade, is thinking that you had a lucky day. Being successful is being good in the long run, consistent. So this is as well the difference between having just a good trade and having a strong performance. So now let me give you a tip in order to help you reach the success that you deserve. First of all, you need to create a trading routine, a written routine. And on the second hand, having a journal that you will write your trading day. How did it go? Did you reach a profit? Did you reach a loss? What was your risk reward? What was the mistake? What was your feeling at the time? You will thank me later. A lot of traders, I've spent years writing my trading in my journal, and then it's not on that day that it's really helpful. It's not really on the following day. It's at the end of the week or at the end of the month when you pick up your journal and you go through the pages, you refresh that memory, you refresh that emotion. And this is the best way. Like reading the book of your trading life is the best way to really correct your mistake and become better and better, because they are written. You're not going to forget. Like as a gambler, you know, the gambling mentality is sometimes forgetting the bad days and just focusing on the good ones and saying, yeah, you know, I don't know how many accounts I actually know. By having it written on the journal and reading it again and going through that pain is actually the best way to prevent it happening again. The second also is setting realistic goal. Once again, you know, with all that flashy social media, you speak to youngsters, they start in trading and they're like, yes, I can get my prop trading account and I believe I will be making 10,000 a month within 6 months. Well, if it was that easy, there will be so much more traders that they would have reached it by now. But why successful trader will tell you, including myself, that it's taking them few years at least. Don't listen to the crap on social media telling you that you can become a really millionaire and successful trader overnight. No, being a good trader can take you a couple of weeks, but being a successful trader on the long run might take you a couple of months if you are lucky, but at least a couple of years. Why? Because you have to go through the market cycles. You don't know how good you're going to be at the end of the year during a low liquidity on August. Maybe when something is happening to your life and affecting your psychology, and then you get angry. So it's not about your strategy, it's about you controlling and keeping that control through time. That is hard to achieve and needs a lot of practice. That's why you need to work on your patience and your discipline. How you can work on your patience and your discipline? Don't be afraid to go back from your live account to your demo account. Give yourself time, allow yourself time to become consistent. I speak to some traders as well, and they tell me, no, I'm good, I'm successful, my strategy is good, I've made 3 profitable weeks, or I've reached my first month, I've made 10% this month, that's it. That's not called consistency. We can start to talk about consistency at least when you start to hit that 6 months or that 1 year. People will tell you 10 years, but I don't know where we're going to be in 10 years. But at least if you see that you have 3-4 months in a row that your strategy is holding, you can start to call yourself consistent, not 3 and 4 days in a row. And in that world of social media where everybody has friends online, but not real friend that they can count on outside of the social media, it's important to create yourself with a community, surround yourself with a community of like-minded people, because you will get back to the real world. On social media, your mind will divert. You will end up seeing some influencers flashing some luxury things, and you will think that you are late and that you're wrong and that you're bad, and you will never reach them. But when you surround yourself with people and you might sit at a cafe or sit somewhere and discuss about your trading, even if it's online, but at least with people with similar background, with the right motivation, you know, it helps you to lower your expectation. And if you lower your expectation, then you go back to your discipline. Then you stop being a dreamer and you focus on becoming a performer. So those people will as well help you, especially when you have negative emotions. If you have a bad day, there is nothing better to speak to another trader and realize that he had a much worse day. So it makes you feel actually even better. So we are getting almost to the end. In conclusion, you have to first accept and acknowledge those different mistakes, which are the greed, the fear of losing, everything related to the vengeance in trading, and the lack of discipline. So first of all, if you want to correct it, acknowledge it and understand that, yes, I've been greedy. Understand that, yes, don't lie to yourself. You can lie to everybody else, but you cannot lie to yourself. If you feel that fear, then start to understand it and acknowledge it. And then after that, once you understood it and you acknowledge it, start to use the tips that I've mentioned to start to correct it. And by having the right psychology, you will have the strong foundation that, trust me, so many traders are not spending enough time to focus on that, and they regret it later. Because once the amounts start to get lower and they get into the loss, then they don't know how to control those emotions, but it's already too late. They are trapped. And on the other hand, it's even worse. Once they start to reach some profit, then all the emotions of the dream start to affect them as much as the emotions of the losses. Both of them are negative emotions. It will create more greed, overconfidence that might lead to overtrading and over leveraging. All the over is as wrong as the under. So by understanding, acknowledging it, and correcting it, you will lead to have the right foundation to become hopefully a successful trader. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. There will be some future webinars that they will be on the platform showing you some tips and secrets on how to use certain indicators, certain tools, or certain analysis, especially on the price action and basket trading. I have a lot of information to share with you. So make sure to activate the bell so you don't miss any of them. Until then, take care and bye-bye.